So vintage Pokemon has gone crazy this year, and I think that's not a secret to anybody, right? Cards have gone up 2, 3, 4, 500% this year. Sales have had, two, three, 400, $500 in between single sales of cards, and it's gotten kind of insane. I think there's a lot of hype and FOMO around it because people see the cards they've always wanted inflating, so they have to get in before it becomes unaffordable, or they see this demand and they decide they want to buy the card so that they can ride the hype wave up, right? And in my own experience, I've been vending this year for the first time. I've been on eBay for the last 3 to 4 years, and I recently got into vintage. I was mostly modern in the past, but obviously the demand and the appreciation this year has been too crazy not to get into. From a business perspective. So I've been looking into these cards and how to sell and how to, price them and whatnot. And I think if you look at some of my past sales in the last couple of weeks, there's a really strong answer as to why vintage is going up so quickly, especially low population vintage, and what this FOMO wave has created, and why the prices are probably just going to keep rising until they reach that demand ceiling, which at this point just keeps getting redefined. First card I want to pull up is this Japanese Espeon from Magma versus Aqua, Two Ambitions. It's a Japanese set from, I think, 2002. But if you look previously, this card was going for 500, 461, 471. I think there are earlier sales here in the 300s a couple months ago. There's not a lot of great search results because this, like I said, is a pretty low population card. But nevertheless, I picked this up at 82% market, and at the time I think market was like 375. So even after I bought it, it had gone up quite a bit. And I looked at this card. I looked at, that there was not a lot listed. And I said, hey, this is low population. There are literally no other listings. Why would I price this at previous sales when I can just mark it up on the off chance that somebody really wants this card? I have the only listing, and they're going to pull the trigger because to them it's worth $800. So that's exactly what I did. This is my sale right here, July 20th. I priced this card at $799.99, and it sold the day that I posted it. And as you can see, this is $330 higher than the last sale, $340 higher than a sale 20 days earlier. And yeah, Thin Snorlax is my eBay username, but if you go into this, you will see, if I click original listing, there you see me, Magna Mike, 100% feedback there. I'm gonna try to keep that rolling, but yeah. So I sold this card for $800, and again, my logic was the population's low. It's a Pop 206 card. There's only 206 PSA 10s. Espeon's a very popular Pokemon. Somebody will likely come along and really want this card, and if there's no other listings below $800, why would I list it at $5, right? I should try to make more money. Another example is this Japanese Mewtwo Gold Star. This is my sale right here at $999.99. Previously, this card sold at $601. We have a card with a swirl on May 31st that went for $750. We got a 600 on May 10th. Previously, July 22nd, best offer accepted. That's a 6, actually. Nevertheless, no, this card has never sold in a 7 at $1,000. I got this card. About a month ago, I purchased a PSA 5 Shining Gyarados from Neo Unlimited for $500. I was at a card show vending. I saw another guy that had this card priced in a similar space, so I traded him the Shining Gyarados and I think $20 for this Mewtwo. So my entry on this Mewtwo was roughly about $520. And once I went to sell it, I went on eBay. I saw that there were literally no PSA 7 Mewtwo's listed below $1,000. I think the lowest list was $1,200, and most recent sales were around $600 to $700. So I said, hey, I'm going to throw this up for $999.99 on the off chance that somebody really wants it. I have the cheapest offering. They're going to pull the trigger. I posted it maybe 2 weeks ago, and you know, within a couple weeks, it's sold. It's sold for $999.99, and I think that's what we are seeing in this market. When stuff is low population, people are just marking it up on eBay. eBay defines the market. If you go to a show, vendors are pricing their cards based on eBay last sold. Doesn't matter what's going on Facebook. It doesn't really matter what's going on at vending shows because they're all predicated off eBay last sold, right? So when you take a card that is low population, like I said, you put it on eBay for a set price. It can be way above comps, but if it's lowest list, there's people out there with disposable income right now that just want to buy Pokemon. And you know what? They're not going to sit around and wait for an auction or sit around and wait for the best deal. Some people, they have the money to not care about that stuff. And that's what's happening with a lot of these low population vintage cards. There's none listed on eBay or very few, and the lowest list is way higher than most recent sales. So somebody puts it up for $1,000 and it sells. And you know what? If there aren't any other listings for Mewtwo PSA 7 Japanese Gold Star at $1,000, if the lowest list is $1,200, it's a PSA 7 Gold Star. Sure, it's Japanese. Somebody out there might value that at $1,200. Heck, somebody might value it at $1,500. The ladder can keep climbing because there's no regulation on this market. It is kind of in crazy town. And when you look at these sales, it is just like there's no regulation. There's nothing stopping somebody like myself, and maybe I'm part of the problem. You can tell me that in the comments if you want to. But again, I like this is literally my main source of income right now. So that's how I'm approaching this stuff strategically. So say what you will about me. You know, maybe I'm contributing to the insanity. I guess I am in some capacity. Nevertheless, you look at this stuff, and this explains why these prices keep going up. Now, does this mean that once that demand goes away, they will drop? Sure. I think the floor has raised so much on vintage that it is unfathomable. It is unfathomable. Unfathomable. Wow, I'm struggling with that word. Unfathomable to see the floor readjusting back to it was before this boom. But is this demand going to last forever? Probably not. Markets have cycles. I think, once we hit the 30th anniversary, once we get into Generation 10, I do think some of the hype's going to die off and these prices will drop. But right now, people are buying this stuff like their lives depend on it, man. People are buying Pokemon nonstop. And a lot of people, the difference between $700 and $1,000 in their budget isn't a lot. They either have disposable income or they're racking up credit card debt. I don't really know. But nevertheless, in my opinion, this is really explaining why the vintage market is so crazy. It's overpriced, eBay lowest lists, and FOMO driving people to pull the trigger no matter what the price is. So if you want my opinion, if you want one of these cards at a decent price, go to a vendor, go to a card show, seek out the card. Normally they have room to work because it's gone up since they purchased it, and you'll get it for a bit below market. That's my best advice. And if you're a seller, take this information and do with it what you will. But that's all I got for today, guys. I appreciate you watching. Pokemon's in Insanityville still. We're in July of 2025, almost August, and things have not slowed down since November. How long will it last? I don't know. The bull market doesn't stop. It just kind of bounces around eras now. It goes from modern to vintage to mid-era, so on and so forth. And with this new Mega Block coming, I just don't see it stopping anytime soon. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Magnum Mike. Catch you later.